Good evening and welcome back to the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight I'm going to be featuring Fortune and Glory, the Cliffhanger game. I've randomly determined that we're going to be playing against the Mob. The Mob specializes in intimidation and extortion. Their intimidation ability will affect allies whenever they activate. We have to make a loyalty test for them. And if passed, the ability will work as normal. If failed, the ability is canceled and the ally is discarded. It says disappearing into the night or being bumped off by the mob. So we'll have to be careful with allies. They also have extortion. It says with a black market network of illegal dealings, the mob controls the price of goods and services throughout cities around the world. They always take their cut. All gear and common items cost an extra 2 glory for heroes to buy. The mob begins the game with a mob headquarters situated in Chicago, Illinois. And they will also begin with a mob hideout, and we've randomly determined that that's going to be in Washington, D.C. The mob HQ will, during the villain turn, they'll be attempting to deploy mob thugs in cities around the world. And the mob hideouts are going to generate income for them from their illegal operations and money laundering and racketeering. They're going to gain a fortune for each hideout that's on the board. I've determined that the two villains we'll be going up against will be Joey Smiles, Jack of Diamonds, and Mickey the Hammer Schultz, King of Clubs. Joey's going to begin the game already deployed on the map, and he has a search value of 5 and a combat value of 4. His special abilities include Crazy. Once per fight round, he rerolls all of his misses, but he's also Reckless. After rerolling each of his fight dice that still miss, it causes him a hit to himself. He has a wound capacity of 6 and 1 defense. The other villain is Mickey the Hammer Schultz. He's currently at the mob headquarters, and he has a search value of 4, combat value of 7, and he has 2 special abilities. Blunt. When searching, he gets a wound on a 1 or 2. He's also a money man. If he's KO'd in a fight, the hero gains 2 fortune. He has a wound capacity of 8, but he has no defense. Our starting artifacts will be the Clasp of the Dark Fire. It has a fortune value of 4 and will require 4 dangers to acquire. And during the adventure, you are -1 agility. That's located right now in the Forbidden Islands, and Joey Smiles has already deployed there. Next artifact is the Jar of the Dark Void. It has a fortune value of 3 and only requires 2 dangers to acquire. Unfortunately, after all dangers, you must fight dark creatures to get the artifact. That's located in the Caribbean. The next artifact is the Dagger of the Golden Sun. It has a fortune value of 4. It will require 4 dangers to solve to acquire. And during this adventure, you are -1 cunning. That's located in South Africa. And finally, we have the Shroud of the Crimson Hand. Has a fortune value of 3. It'll require 4 dangers to acquire, and after all dangers you must fight Order of Crimson Hand to get the artifact, and that's located in the steppes. Our heroes for today's playthrough will be Li Mei Chen, the nightclub singer. She's going to begin the game in Hong Kong. She has a combat ability of 3, agility 5, cunning of 2, lore of 2. She has a wound capacity of 4 and 1 defense. Her keywords are female, Chinese, and social. She has 2 very powerful special abilities. The first one is martial arts. While you are not using a gun, once per fight round, you may either re-roll all of your missed fight dice rolls or force your opponent to re-roll one of their successful fight dice rolls. So that has both a offensive and defensive capability. She's also stealthy. Once per sneak test, she can re-roll a single die. She begins the game with a personal mission called Trendsetter. Spend an adventure phase in each of the following cities, London and Hong Kong. Well, she starts the game in Hong Kong, so she will quickly be able to acquire one of those, and then we're going to probably have her try to travel to London and resolve that card. Next is Jake Zane, the flying ace. He's going to begin the game in San Francisco. He has a combat ability of 4, agility 4, cunning 2, lore of 2. He has a wound capacity of 5 and 1 defense. His keywords are male, American, and pilot. He has 3 abilities. The first one is Ace Pilot. He's going to add 4 adventure dice during a flying test. He also has his own plane. He can spend glory instead of fortune to fly between cities. And he's also brash. He gains +1 cunning while at an adventure with another hero or villain. His personal mission is Blade Collector. If he can recover a weapon artifact, and we do have a weapon artifact amongst those that are deployed right now, and that would be the Dagger of the Golden Sun located in South Africa. So we'll probably try to get Jake Zane there. Then we have Jenny Butler. She's an actress. She's going to start in Los Angeles. She has a combat value of 2, agility 3, cunning 3, and lore 3. She has a wound capacity of 5 with 1 defense, and her keywords are female, American, and social. She has 2 abilities. Starlet. She starts the game with 3 glory and may buy ally cards for 2 less glory than normal. She's also competitive. She gains +2 fight dice against any mob or female enemy or villain, and has a +2 adventure dice on any mob or femme fatale test. Her personal mission is Noble Pursuits, and she has to sell an artifact in a minor city. And finally we have Angel Espinoza. She's a grease monkey. She'll start in Mexico City, and she has a combat value of 4, agility of 3, cunning 3, lore of 2, wound capacity of 5 with 1 defense. Her keywords are female, Mexican, and tech. She has 2 abilities. Workshop. She can buy gear cards for 2 less glory than normal, and she's an expert mechanic. She'll add 2 adventure dice during any tech or trap test. And her personal mission is Live for Adventure, and that is to have 2 artifacts in her possession at the same time. In the game, we'll be using all of the advanced elements that are discussed on pages 18 and 19 of the rule book, as well as all those rules that are introduced in the Rise of the Crimson Hand and Treasure Hunters expansions. I'm going to be using the Temple Collapse rules that are in the original rules and not the modified version. All the decks have been randomized and we're ready to play. To facilitate gameplay, I've assigned a red, white, blue, and black chip to each of the 4 heroes. Li Mei Chen will be red, Jake Zane will be white, Jenny Butler is blue, and Angel Espinoza will be black. And so for our initiative rolls, we'll be using a red, white, blue, and black die, and that makes it a little easier to figure out who the player with initiative will be. This way we don't have to roll the dice separately. We can roll them all at once and quickly determine who has the initiative. We'll begin the game with our initiative phase. Okay, the initiative is going to be for Jenny Butler. Li Mei Chen rolled a 1, so she's going to be entitled to draw an event card. The card is revealed to be Bold Action, Event. Play on any hero, including yourself, to give them +5 adventure dice for 1 roll. Or play on any hero, including yourself, to give them +3 move this turn. It's a great card. Now I play with the event cards being collected in a community pool. And that means that any of our 4 heroes will be able to play those cards whenever they wish. So our first player is Jenny Butler. She's currently in Los Angeles. And considering her special abilities, basically that competitive skill where she gains +2 fight dice against mob or female enemies, and as +2 adventure dice on any mob or femme fatale test. I think we'll try to send her to the Forbidden Islands to seek that clasp of the dark fire. Currently, Joey Smiles has been deployed there, so I think she would operate well in that environment. So we'll try to get her there, and we're going to make a roll for her movement. Okay, she's rolled a 5, so I think we'll try to move her towards that Forbidden Islands adventure. So she'll move 1 into southwest, 2 into the Gulf of Mexico, 3, 4 into the South Atlantic, and 5 into South Africa. That's as far as she'll be able to get. So I think she might end up undertaking that Dagger of the Golden Sun adventure. Now it's Angel Espinosa. She'll make her roll for movement. She's currently in Mexico City. She rolls a 4, so we'll see what we can do with that. I think I'll try to get her to the Caribbean and undertake that Jar of the Dark Void adventure. That only requires 2 dangers to be passed, but the bad part is she would have to fight a dark creatures, but we'll see what happens. So she'll move 1 into Mexico, 2 into the Gulf of Mexico, and 3 into the Caribbean. All right, next up is Li Mi Chen. She's in Hong Kong. Now, she does have a personal mission that says spend an adventure phase in each of the following cities, London and Hong Kong. So I think what I'll do is we're going to have her roll for movement, but I'm going to probably keep her in Hong Kong, and then she'll have a city adventure, and then 1/2 of that personal mission would be completed. Okay, here's her roll for movement. She rolls a 3, but we're going to leave her in Hong Kong, so she's going to undertake a city adventure there. And next up is Jake Zane. He's currently in San Francisco, and depending upon his movement result, we'll probably have him try to assist either Angel Espinosa in the Caribbean or possibly Jenny Butler in South Africa. So we'll see what kind of a role he gets for movement. And he rolls a 4, so we'll see what we can do with that. And I guess he'll try to assist Angel Espinosa. So he's going to make a movement of 1 to southwest, 2 into the Gulf of Mexico, and 3 into the Caribbean. That'll complete our movement phase. And now we'll begin our adventure phase. Our first player is Jenny Butler. She's currently in South Africa, and I think we'll have her attempt an artifact adventure, and she'll attempt to recover the Dagger of the Golden Sun. Now that has a worth of 4, and will require 4 dangers to acquire. Now it has a special condition on it. It says during this adventure you are -1 cunning. All right, and then we'll begin then by drawing a danger card. And the danger is revealed to be Deadly Puzzle. It says the stones are beginning to move faster and faster. Decipher the glyphs before the mechanism completes its cycle. The keywords are danger, ancient, and puzzle, and has a glory value of 5. Now, this is going to be a tough one because it's a lore 5+ test, and this is one of those deadly tests. That means we have to have all the successes in a single roll. Jenny has a lore value of 3, so she'll be rolling 3 dice. Now, if we have to, we can employ our event card that we have, and that's called Bold Action. That would give us an additional 5 adventure dice for a roll. So that's possible, we can use that. All right, here's Jenny's test, lore test 5+. And she rolls 2 successes. She has successfully completed the Deadly Puzzle. So that's great. So we're going to award her a danger token. It means that she's passed one of the 4 that she needs to acquire that object. And for the time being, we'll put this card off to the side with 5 glory, and if she camps down, she'll be able to acquire that card. All right, Jenny has the choice of either pressing on or camping down. If she presses on, she's risking the 5 glory that she earned from the Deadly Puzzle test. She's going to press on, though. Her next test is Assassin. Danger, Assassin. It's worth 2 glory. An assassin was sent to kill you. You must be getting close. Try to catch the assassin in the act or overpower them. She can perform either a Cunning 5+ test with 2 successes or an Agility 6+ test with 1 success. Well, the Cunning test is easier, that's for sure, with having to get a 5. So Jenny's Cunning ability is a 3, but the Dagger of the Golden Sun applies a -1 to Cunning, so she's going to be having a Cunning test of 2. That's a tough one. In this case, I guess she's going to try the Agility test, and that's a 6+ test. She needs 1 success. So she'll be rolling 3 dice, and we'll see what happens. Here's the roll. And she failed. So I think what she's going to do is play the card Bold Action. Play on any hero, including yourself, to give them +5 adventure dice for 1 roll. Okay, so here's Jenny's roll. And she has no successes, unfortunately, so she has failed that, and it's going to go into a cliffhanger. So she's going to lose her 5 glory that she earned from the previous adventure, and the assassin gets turned over to be Silhouette of Being Stabbed. All right, that's what's going to happen to her in her next adventure round. We'll move on to Angel Espinosa. She is in the Caribbean with Jake Zane, and they're going to attempt a combined adventure. And they're seeking the Jar of the Dark Void. And their adventure is a late night encounter. Danger, glory of 4. There's something out there in the dark. It's getting closer. They can attempt an Agility 5+ test with 3 successes, or fight an enemy's card. Jake Zane is going to take this test. He has an Agility of 4, and Angel will stand by in reserve. All right, here's the roll. They got 2 successes, so we'll mark them with 2 success tokens. And he gets to re-roll those dice again. If he can get 1 more 5, they'll have passed it. And no problem there. So they easily pass that test. And each of them are going to earn 4 glory unless they fail a future test. They've earned a danger token. They need 1 more to actually get the Jar of the Dark Void. And then they're going to have to fight a dark creature. So I think they'll press on. Their next adventure is Stow Away on a Zeppelin. Danger, Flying, Nazi, and Sneak. And it says sneak aboard or fight your way through. It's worth glory of 4. So it'll require a Cunning 5+ test with 3 successes, or they have to fight a Nazi enemy. And Angel Espinosa is going to take this test. She has a Cunning of 3, and Jake Zane will stand by in reserve. Here's the roll. And they have no successes. All right, we have a couple options. One of the advantages of doing a combined adventure is the heroes that are not a part of that roll can exert and add an extra roll to try to get a success. And that costs them 1 wound though. So I think we'll give Jake a wound token, and he'll be able to roll an additional die and see if he can get that 5 that he needs to continue on. Got it. All right, so that means that they're going to gain a success token, and then Angel's able to re-roll her 3 dice again. Okay, they need 2 more. And they got them. Okay, so that means that they have successfully completed Stowing Away on a Zeppelin, and that means they're going to acquire the Jar of the Dark Void. But they have to fight a dark creatures first. And there's the dark creatures. They have a their infantry, magic, animal, and demon. They'll be rolling 5 fight dice, and they have 3 wounds, but they have a defense. So each of us are going to have to fight a fight round against the dark creatures until either we're knocked out or the creature's killed. And the first round, we're going to have Jake Zane start that off. He'll be rolling 4 dice. That's his combat ability. Okay, here's the roll. 4 5s or 6s are hits. Okay, there is the result. Jake has a total of 3 hits that he was able to acquire. And the dark creatures have 2 hits. So now their defense will kick in. The dark creatures have a defense of 1, so one of those hits is removed. And Jake Zane has a defense of 1. So we're going to have 2 hits against the creature and 1 on Jake Zane. And now it's Angel Espinosa's turn to fight the creature. She has a combat of 4 as well. And here's her attack roll. Oh, she didn't do too good. Okay, Angel has no hits, and the creature has 2. Angel has a defense of 1, so that will absorb 1 of the hits, and Angel's going to take a wound token. And now we'll begin again with a new round. And here's Jake's attack. All right, Jake ended up with 1 hit, and the creature had 2. So Jake's hit is absorbed by the creature's defense. It'll take no wounds. Jake has to take 1 more wound now. He's at 3 of his possible 5 wound capacity now. It's getting kind of critical. All right, now we'll see if Angel can do a little better. And here's Angel's roll. Whoa, not good at all. Angel has 1 hit. The creature has 4, so Angel's hit doesn't get through. The creature's 3 hits are going to be added to Angel Espinosa. So that is going to give her a total of 4 hits out of a 5 wound capacity. So this is getting very critical. And we have the option to escape, but that's a lore test, and that's a deadly test. I think we'll just continue on. We'll see if Jake can kill this thing. Okay, here's the roll. Oh, boy. Not good. No hits from Jake, and he's going to take another wound. That's going to make him up to 4 wounds now. 4 of his 5. I think we'll continue on. We'll see if Angel Espinosa can do it. Angel's got 4 of her 5 wound boxes filled up. Here's the roll. Okay, Angel has 1 hit, and the creature has 1 hit, so their defenses are going to absorb that. We'll move on to another round with Jake. Here's the roll. Oh, boy, not good. Jake has 1 hit that's absorbed, and he's going to take another wound. That means he's going to get KO'd. Oh. All right, Jake has been KO'd. I think I'll just push it through and see if Angel can take this creature out. And here's her roll. And they each scored 1 hit, but the defenses will absorb that, and we'll have to do another round. Here's the roll. And I'll have to re-roll that one. As it stands now, we're going to lose this. Okay, here's the other roll. And she got 2 hits. Actually, she's got 3 hits. I forgot about that 4 there. So she's going to kill the creature, but the creature is also going to knock her out. So we'll have to look up and see what happens in that case. Well, how this is going to work out is Angel is definitely going to be KO'd. There's no doubt about that. She's going to acquire the artifact. That was a part of the conditions on the card. It says, after all dangers, you must fight dark creatures to get the artifact. Well, she's done that, so she's going to gain the Jar of the Dark Void. But each of them are going to have to roll a d6 and lose that much glory. And then in addition, Angel is going to have to make another d6, and on a 1, 2, or 3, she's going to lose the artifact. So we'll start out by rolling for their glory loss. We'll start out with Jake. Jake is going to lose 4 glory. Okay, that will leave him with 4. And now Angel is going to lose a total of 6. That'll leave her with 2. And we are going to gain the glory for battling that dark creature. So each of them are going to gain 7 for that. And then now she's going to have to roll for the artifact. On a 1, 2, or 3, they lose the artifact. Alright, so she's managed to hang on to that artifact even though they were KO'd. So that worked out pretty good, but wow, what a battle. So Jake has a total of 11 glory. Angel has a total of 9 plus the artifact, but both of them are going to have to go back to their starting cities for recovery purposes. So both of them have been returned to their respective starting cities. They're in prone position, but they will heal during the end phase. Now it's Li Mei Chen's turn. She is currently in Hong Kong, and she's going to be undergoing a city adventure. Alright, and she draws the card Fire, and City, Event, and Secret. It says play any time to choose a city on the board. Any immobile cards located in that city are discarded on a d6 roll of 3+. Any heroes, villains, or enemies in that city take d6 hits each. Alright, well that's somewhat interesting. She'll keep that then as a secret card. And now she has the choice of exploring down at the docks or interacting with the city. If she's going to do the docks exploration, she has to do that first. So I think we'll do that. We'll have her do a little exploration down at the docks. And that's revealed to be 1 fortune. Okay, great. So she picks up a fortune. We'll add that to the total. And that gives us a total of 1 fortune towards the 40 that we need to win the game. And there's really nothing for Lee to do in interacting with the city. She has no glory. But what she did do is she earned one of the 2 criteria for completing her personal mission. And that was to spend an adventure in each of the following cities, London and Hong Kong. Well, she's done it for Hong Kong. I'm going to mark her card by using one of these tokens. And then when she gets a second token, she'll have completed that trendsetter personal mission. And that's going to complete the adventure phase, and we'll move on to the villain phase. And we start off the villain phase by drawing a villain event. That card is revealed to be Tenacious. Villain event upgrade. This card plays on a random villain in play. It'll give them +1 combat, and it will remain in play. So we're going to draw a random villain, and I think what we'll do is we'll use the villain tokens that we have. I'll just put those into my hand and shuffle those up and draw one out. And that card is going to go to Mickey the Hammer Schultz. Okay, we're going to give him that card, and now his combat value goes from 7 up to 8. Next step is the outpost phase, and in this phase we're going to make a D6 roll, and the Mob HQ in Chicago, if we can roll a 4, 5, or 6, they are going to place a mobster thug in a random city. Okay, so here is their roll. And he rolled a 2, so there won't be any thug coming out this turn. What they do get, though, is for their hideout. They have a hideout in Washington, D.C. That's going to earn them 1 fortune. So for every 3 fortune that they will get a gain on the villain track. So we'll give them 1 fortune. Now it's the villain adventure step. We'll start with Joey Smiles. He's currently deployed to the Forbidden Islands, and he's seeking the clasp of the Dark Fire. He needs to get 4 successes to find that. And Joey has a search value of 5, so he'll be rolling 5 dice, and for every 4, 5, or 6, he'll get a success. Here's his roll. And he ended up getting 2 successes, but he does have 1 injury, so he's going to gain a wound token, but he'll gain 2 danger markers towards finding the clasp of the dark fire. And we'll mark him with a wound token on his card. And next is Mickey the Hammer Schultz. He's currently at the headquarters in Chicago. He's going to deploy to the greatest value artifact that does not already have a villain on it, and that is going to be the Dagger of the Golden Sun, and that is where Jenny Butler is currently in a Cliffhanger. So he deploys to that region, and next turn he is going to start looking for that artifact. Now we move to the end phase, and first thing we're going to do there is any KO'd heroes are going to heal. So Angel Espinosa will stand up in Mexico City. Same thing for Jake Zane in San Francisco. They're fully healed. And then we have to replace and replenish any artifacts. And there is going to be one artifact that needs to be replenished. And the new artifact is going to be the Cup of the Cursed Eye. It has a fortune value of 4, requires 4 dangers. It's going to appear in Italy. And it does have a curse associated with it. It says no allies may be used while at this adventure. So we'll place that artifact marker in Italy, and that's where the Cup of the Cursed Eye will appear, and that's going to close out our first turn. We'll begin the new round with an initiative roll. And we got Li Mei Chen is the red, Jake Zane is white, Jenny Butler is blue, and Angel Espinosa will be using the black die. Here's the roll. And once again, Jenny Butler is going to be the first player, and Angel Espinosa is going to draw an event card. And that is revealed to be just a scratch. Event physical. Play when a hero or enemy is about to take a wound and prevent that wound. Okay, we'll add that to our collection of cards. And we'll begin the turn with Jenny Butler. She is currently in a Cliffhanger. So all she can do is roll her movement die and see if she can gain a event card on a roll of a 1. She rolls a 5, so no love there. And next up is Angel Espinosa. She's in Mexico City. We'll have her roll for movement. She rolls a 2. Okay. Well, I think I'm just going to leave her in Mexico City, and then we can attempt to have her sell that Jar of the Dark Void and use some of her glory to purchase maybe some equipment. So we'll leave her where she is. And next up is Li Mei Chen. She is in Hong Kong. We'll have her roll for movement, and I'd like to try to get her to London if we can to get her personal mission completed. Here's the roll. She rolls a 6. Okay, so we've got 6 movement points. And I think we'll get her to move through China for 1, 2 into the steppes, 3 into Russia, 4 into Eastern Europe, and 5, 6 into the North Sea. So she's 1 away from reaching London. And now it's Jake Zane. He'll have him roll for movement. He's currently in San Francisco. And he rolls a 4. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to do the same thing with Jake Zane. He's going to remain in San Francisco and see if he can spend some of that glory that he has accumulated from that mission in the Caribbean. So we'll move on to the adventure phase. All right, we're going to start our adventure phase. That will begin with Jenny Butler. She's the first player, and she's in a Cliffhanger right now. And Cliffhanger is listed as Silhouette of Being Stabbed. Cliffhanger Assassin has a glory of 2. And it reads, the shadows play across the wall as a knife sinks into its target. Take D6 hits or discard an ally that is with you as they are the one that has been stabbed. All right, well, Jenny does not have an ally, so she's going to have to take D6 hits. And so it's not wounds, that's hits. So we'll have her roll a d6, and then we'll see what happens. Now Jenny has a defense of 1. Okay, here's the roll. And she rolled a 1. So in that case, she's going to take 0 wounds. I guess the assassin stabbed her in the shirt, but not into her body. So okay, that's good. So she's passed that. That is going to give her another success and 2 glory. So we'll give her a success token, and then she's going to gain 2 glory potentially for passing that cliffhanger. Now this kind of gets complicated because in order for her to press on, she would have to sneak past Mickey the Hammer Schultz, which has deployed to that area. So we're going to have to think about this. She is not wounded at this point, so I guess she could try that. We're only risking the 2 glory that she received from that cliffhanger. So I think we will try to sneak past Mickey the Hammer. All right, to resolve a sneak test, we have to examine the villain's search value. Mickey the Hammer Schultz has a search value of 4. So what's going to happen is he's going to roll 4 dice. We're going to declare a number between 1 and 6. And that represents, I guess, the path that person would be taking to try to sneak past him. For every number that comes up in the roll that is what we called, Jenny will have to fight 1 round of combat with Mickey the Hammer Schultz. All right, Jenny is going to call number 3. So for each result of 3, we'll have to fight a round of combat with Mickey. Here's the roll. And 1-3 came up, so she's going to need to fight 1 round of combat with Mickey the Hammer Schultz. Now his combat rating is a 7, and he also has this card called Tenacious, which gives him +1 to his combat, so he'll be rolling 8 dice. And Jenny's combat value is only a 2. So we'll see what happens with this. Okay, here's the roll. All right, Jenny has no hits. Mickey has a total of 5 hits. All right, Jenny has a defense of 1. So that would count out 1 of those. She's going to take 4 wounds, and that means she's at 4 out of her 5 possible wound damage before she would be KO'd. So we'll give Jenny 4 wounds, and then she's going to be able to continue on with her adventures. And the next one is going to be Stowaway on a Cargo Ship. Danger, water, sneak. Has a glory value of 3. It says wait, no one is looking. Wait until no one is looking and slip by in the shadows, or disguise yourself as a dock worker to get aboard and hope they don't ask any questions. All right, we'll have to perform an agility test, 4+ with 4 successes, or a cunning test, 5+ with only 2. Now this artifact has a special condition on it that says that we're -1 cunning during any adventures. So I think in this case, Jenny is going to use her agility. She has an agility of 3. She'll be rolling 3 dice, and we need 4 successes. All right, and here's her roll. All right, she ended up with 3 successes. That's pretty good. That's 3 of the 4 that she needs. We'll give her 3 success tokens there. And then she gets to re-roll. We need 1 more. Here's the roll. And she got it. So she's completed that adventure, Stowaway on a Cargo Ship. That's going to earn her 3 glory. And that'll also earn her another danger token. So she's going to gain her 3rd danger token. And I think she's going to camp down. She's already badly wounded. This will allow her to completely heal, and she'll gain a total of 5 glory from that. So I think that's what we're going to do. So Jenny Butler is completely healed. She has a total of 8 glory right now. She started the game with 3 as a part of her Starlet ability. And I guess we'll move on now to Angel Espinoza. She is in Mexico City. All right, Angel is going to undertake a city adventure. Now, I was planning on selling that artifact that she has. She has the Jar of the Dark Void, but I did look, and her personal mission is to have 2 artifacts in her possession at the same time, and that would allow her to resolve that. So I think we might try to hang on to that artifact until she can get another one. So we're going to draw a city card and see what we get. And the card is listed as Bad Press, City, Event, Treachery, Social. One of your rivals has spread rumors about you around town. Immediately lose D6 glory. All right, well, we're going to make a roll and find out how much she's going to lose. And she's going to lose 4. Okay, so that means Angel is down to only 5 glory right now. And now we can interact with the city. Now, Angel has a special ability called Workshop, and it says that she can buy gear cards for 2 less glory than normal. Normal price is 5, but the mob has a special ability called Extortion, and that adds an extra 2 glory for them to buy a gear. So in this case, she'll cancel out that mob's cut on this, and she'll still be paying 5 for a gear card. So I think that's what she'll do. She'll pay 5, and she gets a gear card, and that one is an elephant gun. Gear, ranged weapon, gun, +3 to combat, and you may ignore the enemy's defense. So that's fantastic. All right, we'll give her that card, and we'll move on now to Li Mei Chen. Li is in the North Sea, so she'll be having a sea adventure. So we're going to make a die roll. On a roll of a 1, she will have to fight an enemy. On a 2 or 3, there'll be no effect. And on a 4, 5, or 6, she'll get to draw an event card. Okay, here is the roll. And she rolled a 5, so that's going to entitle her to get a event card. And the card is a Lost Temple. Event Temple, play immediately. Place a temple on the board at a random location and draw an adventure for it. This extra temple is not replenished when completed. It has a value of 6. Okay, let's find out where it's located. Draw a location card, and it's going to be in Amazon Falls, and that's a deep jungle. And we're going to reshuffle our location deck, and it will add an extra 2 to the value, so it'll be a total of 8 at that temple. And we've determined that that's going to be the Lost Temple of Doom. It has a total fortune value of 8 and a collapse value of 4. So we'll place that in the Amazon Falls. And we've placed a temple marker on Amazon Falls, and that'll have a value of 8 fortune. And now we'll move on with Jake Zane. He's currently in San Francisco, and he's going to have a city adventure. The card's listed as Real Estate Auction, City, Event, Social. You may pay D6 +2 glory. If you do, reveal cards from the top of the gear deck until you find an immobile card. Take that card and then shuffle the gear deck. Okay? And then we have to shuffle the city deck. D6 +2 glory. Well, Jake Zane has a total of 11 right now. He could do it, but I think that's a little expensive. I'm going to have, I think, Jake do a little shopping in the city. Now, as a part of that city deck being shuffled, we're supposed to replace any docs markers that have been used on the board. So we've replaced a new docs marker in Hong Kong. All right. And Jake is going to purchase a revolver and a map. Now, each of those are going to cost their value listed on the card, plus an extra 2 for the extortion of the mob. So we're going to be a total of 7 for the revolver and a total of 3 for the map. So that'll cost him 10 glory. That'll leave him with 1 left. And that'll complete the adventure phase. We'll move on to the villain phase. And we'll begin the villain phase by drawing a villain event card. And that card is revealed to be Surge of Darkness, villain event. All villains immediately take an extra villain adventure step outside of the normal turn of order, and then we move the villain track one step forward. Okay. Alright, so each of the villains is going to be able to have a villain adventure step immediately. We'll start out with Joey Smiles. He's currently in the Forbidden Islands seeking the clasp of the Dark Fire. Joey Smiles has a search value of 5. Joey already has 2 successes in that adventure, so he only needs 2 more to acquire the artifact. And here's his roll. And he easily got that, so Joey Smiles has acquired the clasp of the Dark Fire. That is going to place him back at headquarters. He is going to be in a ready state. And the mob has acquired their first artifact. That's going to give them a bonus +2 to the villain track. That'll move them up to 3 now. All right. And now it's Mickey the Hammer Schultz. He's seeking the Dagger of the Golden Sun in South Africa. Now he has a search value of 4, but because he's in the same space as a hero, his search value will be reduced by 1 for each model in his space. So that means he's only going to be having a search value of 3. Now he does have a blunt ability, which means that when he's searching, he's going to gain a wound on a 1 or 2. So we'll see what happens. And here's his roll. He ended up with 2 successes, but because of that blunt ability, he's going to gain a wound. So we'll give him his first wound token. That's 1 of 8 possible. And he's going to gain 2 successes towards that Dagger of the Golden Sun. So we'll mark him with 2 danger markers. And he'll need another 2 to acquire that. And that completes that additional villain adventure step. And we'll move on now to the outpost step. We'll start out by making a roll for the mob HQ in Chicago. If they can roll a 4, 5, or 6, they're going to deploy a mob thug to a city. Here's the roll. He rolled a 4, so we're going to draw a card and see which city it is going to be deployed at. And it's going to be in Tokyo, so we're going to place a mobster in Tokyo. Okay, we've placed that mobster in Tokyo, and now the mob will gain 1 fortune for every hideout that they have on the board. They have 1 in Washington, D.C., so they're going to gain an additional fortune for that. Now they have collected 2. When they get 3, they trade those in and they get another point on the villain track. And now it's the standard villain adventure step. We'll begin with Joey Smiles. He is ready condition at the headquarters. He's going to deploy to the most valuable artifact that is on the board, and that's going to be that Lost Temple of Doom that has been popped up in the Amazon Falls. So he deploys there. Now this is a deep jungle, so when the time comes he will have to do an exploration to find that temple. Next is Mickey the Hammer Schultz. He's in South Africa. He has 2 successes seeking the Dagger of the Golden Sun. He's going to need to get another 2. Now he has a search value of 4, but once again he's in the space with a hero, so he'll only be rolling 3 dice for the search. And here's the roll. He rolled 1 success, and he's going to gain another wound. So now he has a total of 3 of the 4 successes he needs to acquire that object. And he has now 2 wound tokens out of 8. All right, that is going to complete the villain phase. We'll move on to the end phase. Okay, the end phase, we're going to replenish our artifacts. So we'll have a new artifact coming on the board. And that's going to be the Spear of Atlantis. Has a fortune value of 5. It'll take 3 dangers to acquire. It will appear in Western Europe. So we'll mark that in Western Europe, and that is going to bring the turn to a close. And we'll start the new turn by rolling for initiative. Okay, well, Jake Zane is going to be getting a event card, but we have to have a roll-off between Angel and Jenny Butler. And we'll have to roll one more time. That time, Angel Espinoza will be the first player. And Jake Zane's event card is Expedition Leader. Play immediately. Play on any hero, including yourself. That hero may now carry up to 3 more gear than normal and may purchase common items for 1 glory less. Each remains in play. Well, we'll play that on Jake Zane. We'll move on to the movement phase now, and Angel Espinoza is the first player, and she is in Mexico City. We'll get a roll for her for movement. She rolls a 3. All right, she's got 3 movement points. And I think she's going to make a trip down to the Amazon Falls, and I'll see if she can contest Joey Smiles down there. So she'll move 3. She has 3 movement points. It's 1, 2 into the Yucatan, and 3 into Amazon Falls. Next up is Li Mi Chen. She is at the North Sea, so we'll have a roll for her for movement. She rolls a 1. Okay, that means she's going to be able to draw a event card, and she draws Contacts Cairo. You have received word from your contacts in Cairo. Discard while in the named city during your adventure phase to gain 1 fortune, draw an allies card, or draw 4 events. Okay, that's great. We'll give that card to Lee, and then now she has 1 movement point to spend. And Lee's going to spend that point to move into London, where she'll hopefully be able to complete her personal mission. Next up is Jake Zane. He's currently in San Francisco, and we'll see what kind of a movement roll he gets. He rolls 5. Okay, let's see if we can get him down to help Angel Espinoza in the Amazon Falls. So let's see here. 1 into the Western North Pacific, 2 into the Yucatan, and 3 into Amazon Falls. That will work. And now it's Jenny Butler. She's in South Africa looking for the Dagger of the Golden Sun. She has 3 of the 4 needed successes. So here's a move roll for her. She rolls a 5, but I think she's going to stay there. All right. That completes the movement phase, and we'll move on to the adventure phase. All right, Angel Espinoza and Jake Zane are going to do a combined adventure in Amazon Falls, but they have to first locate the artifact because they're in a deep jungle. So what will happen is they are going to receive an exploration token. And for each exploration token, they can roll a D6, and on a result of 4, 5, or 6, they find their destination. Here's the roll. They did it. They've got a 4, so that means they have successfully found that location. We'll put that token underneath them. And now they're going to undertake their first adventure. Now, even though there's an enemy in that space, they can always take an adventure there without having to try to sneak past him. If they want to take another one, then they'll have to do a sneak test. And their first adventure is Stone Guardians. Danger ancient. Standing watch for countless centuries, these stone warriors stare through you with hateful eyes. You have to do a lore 5+ test. We need 2 successes. And it says we would need an extra success if in a desert. Well, we're in a jungle, so that won't apply. And I think Jake Zane is going to play his map. And it says, discard to cancel and redraw a danger you just drew. So I think that's what we'll do, because we're not very good in lore, so I think we'll draw a new card. And this one's probably even worse. It's Volcano, Danger Climbing. This climb would be dangerous without the lava. Just hope the whole mountain doesn't erupt. Okay, we have to do an agility test, and this is going to be a deadly test. And it says here that it requires an extra deadly test if in a mountain space. Well, fortunately, Amazon Falls is not a mountain, it's a deep jungle. So, all right, we'll see who's going to perform this test. And we're going to select Jake Zane for this job. He has an agility of 4. And we'll have Angel Espinoza be in reserve. So we'll make our roll now. Let's see if we can do this. And unfortunately, we only had 1 success. So, well, Angel would be able to double exert, but we need to get 2 more successes to be able to make this work with it being a deadly test. So I think what we're going to do is we'll just let this slip into a cliffhanger. And that's going to be lava flow. So we'll worry about that next turn. Next up is Li Mei Chen. She's in London, so we're going to do a city adventure there. If she can complete this, then we're going to get a second success for her on her personal mission, and she would complete the personal mission. And the city card is Secret of Success. City event secret. Play at any time to allow a hero to automatically pass a test, even if it would otherwise have been a failure. All right, that's a great card. We'll give that to Lee. And now Lee has the option to visit the docks of London, or she can go into and interact with the city. Now, she has no glory that she can use, so I think we'll do the docks adventure. So we'll see what that docks counter is. And that is Villain Run-In. Uh-oh. Villain Run-In reads, draw a random villain. The hero must immediately complete 2 fight rounds against that villain, and then the villain is removed. All right, we'll draw a random villain. And the random villain is Icebox Eddie. He's a hitman. He has a combat value of 5 with wound capacity of 6 and 1 defense. Special ability is Killer. For each fight dice roll of 6 he gets, the hero must either take an extra hit or discard an ally. All right, so she's going to have to fight 2 fight rounds with him. Lee's combat ability is a 3, but she's unarmed, so she'll be able to use her martial arts ability that will allow her to re-roll all of her dice, or she can have her opponent force him to re-roll one of his successes. All right, here's the first combat. Okay, Lee ended up doing 1 hit, and Icebox Eddie had 3 hits. All right, I think what she's going to do is she's going to have him re-roll one of his successes, and she'll see if maybe she can get him to miss on this one. And nope, he didn't. So he's got 3 hits against her. She has 1. His defense would absorb that hit. She has a defense of 1. That'll absorb 1 hit. She's going to take 2 wounds for that first round of combat, so we'll mark her accordingly. 2 wounds. And now we have to fight a second round. And here's the second round. Whoa! Oh, that's not good for us. Well, Icebox Eddie did 4 hits, and he's got 2 6s. So that's going to force her to take an extra hit. She does not have an ally to discard. So I think what we're going to do is have her use her defensive ability and of martial arts and have him re-roll one of those 6s. Okay, here's the roll. And it's still a hit. So that means that Icebox Eddie has done a total of 4 hits. 1 of them will be absorbed by her defense, and she's going to take 3 more hits, and unfortunately that is going to KO her. So Lee is KO'd, and that means she's going to return to Hong Kong in a prone position. Now she still has completed her trend set personal mission. It says spend an adventure phase each of the following cities, London and Hong Kong. Well, she's technically done that, so she's going to fulfill that. She's going to gain 2 fortune for the team. I've looked at this a little more closely, and I think that I don't think she completes that personal mission because it says spend an adventure phase in each of the following cities. So that would, spending an adventure phase means you're spending the entire phase there. She was wounded and KO'd and sent back to her home city, so she really never completed that visit as a trendsetter in London. So I'm going to rule that she has not completed that yet, and we won't get our reward yet. And she did have 1 success though already on that card by visiting Hong Kong previously, so I think that's how we're going to do it. Now Lee was KO'd, but she had no glory, and she has no gear or allies or fortune. The fortune is, as this is a combined game, we're playing a solitaire game, so that fortune isn't liable to be used up. So she really doesn't lose anything other than being sent back to Hong Kong. She had no glory, she had no gear or allies or anything of that nature. So we'll continue on. Okay, next up would have been Jake Zane, but he's a part of that combined adventure with Angel Espinosa, so we'll move on to Jenny Butler. Jenny Butler is in South Africa, and she's seeking that Dagger of the Golden Sun. She has 3 successes, so if she can just get 1 more, she'll be able to snatch that artifact out from under the nose of Mickey the Hammer. All right, let's see what adventure she pulls. And she draws Crumbling Ruins. All right. And Crumbling Ruins reads, the ancient ruin is falling apart around you as you pick your way through the crumbling architecture. It has a danger value of 2, and she has to complete a agility 4+ test with 3 successes and a cunning 4+ test with 3 successes. That's going to be a tough one. Now she's going to be -1 for the cunning test because of the special condition of that Dagger of the Golden Sun. So we'll begin with her agility test. She is going to make a, her current agility is a 3, so she'll be rolling 3 dice. And we'll see if she's able to get past at least this portion first. All right, here's the roll. And she has 2 successes, so we'll mark her with 2 success tokens, and she gets to re-roll that now. And she easily passes that, so we're going to give her an extra success, and that 3 is enough to complete the agility test, so we'll keep that there. Now she has to do the cunning test. Now she's going to be -1 to her cunning. She has a cunning of 3, so that's going to be down to 2. So she'll be rolling 2 dice for this test. Okay, here's the first roll. She has 1 success, so we'll mark her for that, for the cunning. Here's the next roll. And she's got 2 successes, so she was able to pass that. It was a very difficult adventure, the Crumbling Ruins, but she did it. So that is going to complete, it'll be her 4th danger that she's passed. And she steals the Dagger of the Golden Sun from underneath the nose of Mickey the Hammer. She's going to gain 2 glory for that automatically. We'll mark her with 2 glory. And that is going to end her turn. That was great. And that means that Mickey the Hammer has to return to base, and he's going to be in a delayed state because he missed out on getting that artifact. So all these tokens now are going to be removed, and we did good. Jenny did great on getting that artifact, and that's going to complete the adventure phase. We'll move on to the villain phase, and we'll begin by drawing a villain card, and that is Sandstorm. Any hero in a desert space immediately takes D6 hits Any temple in a desert space immediately gains an instability marker and must roll for collapse. All right, well, we're fortunate none of our heroes are in desert spaces and there are no temples in the desert space, so that card will just be discarded. That's great. Next is the outpost step, and the mob is going to make a roll to see if their mob HQ will be placing a mobster thug in a city, 4, 5, or 6. And it is successful, so we're going to draw a location card and find out what city a thug's going to be placed in. And that's Tokyo again. Now there already is a thug there, so we can't place another one. That means that the villain track is going to move up 1. That's going to advance it to 4 now. So that was not a good card for us. Not at all. And the villains are also going to gain a fortune for each of their hideouts. They have a hideout in Washington, D.C., so we'll add another fortune to their table, and that's going to give them 3 of them. So they'll trade those 3 fortune in, and they're going to gain another point on the villain track. They're already up to 5. So they're a third of the way there already. And now we're going to move to the villain adventure step. And Joey Smiles is currently in Amazon Falls. Now he has to do an exploration just as the characters had to, and he'll have to see if he can find the temple. So we're going to give him a exploration token, and then he's going to roll a die for each one he has, and he needs to get a 4, 5, or 6 to find it. Otherwise he's lost. He rolled a 5, so that means he found it. We'll put the marker underneath him to mark that he has found it. And now he's going to make his adventure roll. Now Joey Smiles has a search value of 5, but because there's 2 other heroes in the space, that's going to reduce his ability 1 for each of them, so that he's down to a 3 now. So he'll be rolling 3 dice for this. All right, here is the roll. And he rolled 3 successes, so that means he's going to gain 3 gold, 3 fortune from that lost temple, and that is going to also be traded in immediately for another point on the victory track for the villains. They're up to 6 now. Now we have to place danger markers on the temple, and it is going to has a collapse value of 4. So if one more point of fortune is taken from that temple, we'll have to roll for a collapse. All right. And next on the list is Mickey the Hammer Schultz. He's at headquarters, but he's delayed. So we're going to move him from delayed to ready. So he will deploy next turn. And incidentally, the wounds that he had were healed. As soon as a villain goes back to headquarters, their wounds are healed. All right, that is going to complete the villain phase. We'll move on to the end phase. And we do have a artifact that needs to be replenished. And the new artifact is revealed to be the Tears of the Gods. Has a value of 6 and only requires 2 dangers to acquire. And that's going to appear in the Ivory Coast. So we're going to place that marker on the Ivory Coast. That's a desert space. And we'll see what happens. We'll place this on the artifact board. And that is going to end the turn. And I believe we're going to end the video here. And we're going to regroup in the next video to continue the action with Li Mei Chen, Jake Zane, Jenny Butler, and Angel Espinoza in their quest for fortune and glory. Thanks for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club, and we'll see you next time. Have a good evening.